Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel and to this new chapter about the wing. But before I go and show you the wing, I'm gathering a lot of clutter on my table, so let me show you a little bit of what I have. I have here a steam engine, electric. It's an O gauge. I got it in a flea market this past weekend, and it works a little bit, not quite, so I need to clean it up and see if that works. I'm trying to prepare some old trains, let's say, for Christmas, and it has a tender. It's not the original tender, but this one seems to be okay, so that's a bit of the clutter. And then what other clutter do I have? So I have old propellers, the propeller from the P-47. I have to try to fly that one again. I got some other propellers from an old model that I had, and some wheels. These look good, so don't want to throw them away. The rubber bands I might be using for the Piper also. And another interesting piece, I got a piece of an aircraft. If you see here, it says ZU, which means Zu in German. This is a piece of a German airplane from the Second World War. Let's see if anybody can guess what airplane it is, and I'll just leave it there as a game. And then as to the wing, so I managed to rip out the servo that broke in the last chapter. It was very well glued in, so I'm happy about that. I did a good job about gluing it in, but I did manage to bring it out. And I did break a little bit of the structure on the way. I fixed it, so hopefully you can't see it. I think I broke one of the pieces. I think this one I broke. And this is the new servo. It's not a new servo, actually, it's a servo for the elevator that I'm repurposing. And it fits in well. I still haven't glued it in, and I probably don't need to glue it in as strongly as it was. I probably don't need to put in the screws either. I'll put in some glue around it, and because it's already pretty much in place and doesn't move very much, so it's already quite fixed in there, so that's good. And I'll be able to try out the movement with the push rod, so that's a bit of the task that I have to do. And what I've started also, I started to put the hole on the other aileron. Let's see if you can see it, and you see here the screws, how long they are, so I need to, with a small hacksaw, cut them off, which is not so easy, but that's homework. And also then I'll start the tissue probably on the ailerons, and start to think about the hinges, probably with the fishing thread, this, which is very very thin but quite strong. That's idea from Cliff, as most of the ideas I have. So that'll be then the homework, put it together, not the homework, it's all homework, right? The task, and then hopefully also to do the tissue covering and maybe the full assembly. But I might not do the full assembly with the tissue, so that I can actually put the centerpiece of the wing in place. And if all goes well, at the end of this chapter I have a completed wing ready kind of to put on the fuselage. So wish me luck with this. I've recruited the help of my new model train to hold up the wings. What I've been doing up to now, I've connected the push rods, and I've managed to cut the screws off this aileron. I don't know if you can see it actually, because it's very small if I point at it, and that's quite difficult. I'm using a very small hacksaw, this one, but still it's not easy, and I did damage a little bit the wood on the sides. It took me a while, but I think that is now done. So what I want to do now, I want to connect up properly with all the connectors visibly going up. I want to connect the two servos and see how, if the ailerons turn somehow, or they not turn, they go up and down. So that one works, and this one, it has 3 connectors, so it should be okay. And let's see if they move somehow. Okay, so one is moving, the other one isn't. I'm not sure why. So okay, so it does move, but I can only use one connector. I was hoping to be able to use 2 of the connectors. Let's see if I use the middle one. Okay, so maybe now I have them both there. There, you see, I don't know if you can see it, when my hands are in the way. So you see the ailerons, they're turning and in opposite directions, which is good. because they will get the same impulse from the receiver, right? So I think it's good. Then I just need to make sure that it's somehow balanced. I think if I go to the middle, then maybe I need to connect the rods a bit better, or maybe on different holes. Let's see the cycle. Cycle seems okay, aileron movement seems okay. So what's interesting, if you notice, is that when this one, the right one, when the aileron goes down, it warps the whole wing. I think the control horn on the servo is actually hitting the wing, and that's why it's bending it up somehow. So I probably need to do a bit of sanding down there. But overall, I think it's good. So I'm happy about that, and just close this down and go to bed. And here's a bit of progress on the wings. This is the right wing, and I've already covered it. It's with tissue. I haven't yet shrunk it or put the glue covering on, but I've managed to put on the cover. There is a temptation always with these big surfaces to use one huge sheet, but I resisted that. So I've got here one section, then another section. Here around the servo area I've put in 2 sections, and then one more section. And on the top also I've split it in sections, because I also find that the bigger the piece is, the more difficult it is to glue it in place. So I think this one looks kind of okay. There's some points, I don't know if you can notice it here, that the wood is a bit darker, and that's because of the laser cutting. I don't know if you can see, for example, here, that the laser cut leaves that burnt mark, and I thought I would be able to sand it off. I think I forgot that piece actually, so it actually goes through and it looks a bit ugly. I've tried to fix it for the other wing, not the tip again, but I notice also that if I do that after the wing is already built, then wherever there's glue, it's much more difficult to get in there. So the lesson learned here is that if I want to get rid of those marks, I have to get rid of them before I glue them. So basically on the piece after I take it out of the cutout. So that's the lesson learned there. From perspective of the ailerons, I do have both, and again I didn't do the sanding of the wood there on time, and this one looks actually quite ugly because it's very dark. Don't know if you can see it. It looks worse in real life than on the camera, I think. But I've done the ailerons, and these I have shrunk already, and I've put the water and glue cover on it, so it does get a little bit darker. I think color wise I'm okay. It's just a bit unfortunate that it's so ugly, right? So it's what it is. So in any case, then what I'm going to do, well, I still got the center part to do, so that's why I leave that part without covering, because then once I glue it together, then I want to put one piece across all that. And what I still have to do is basically the same thing on the left wing. So that is then what I'm going to be doing now. And once I have that, then I'll probably do the shrinking, like on the covering, and that I want to do section by section. In the past I did have issues with warping, and I have tried the tactic of holding it down with pins on pieces of wood. But what I think I'm going to do, that worked, I think with the Wellington it worked okay, I'm going to go section by section. So I'll shrink this part on both sides, that it somehow doesn't warp itself, or that it warps at the same time, or that it stretches. And then I'll do basically like bay, I think these are called like bays, right, between the ribs, one at a time, or maybe 2 at a time, that it doesn't have so much tension when it shrinks. So, and as I say, I did try in the past to hold things down, but it didn't work. So I'm going to try it like this. I might do both tactics at the same time. Let's see. So there's still quite a lot of work step by step, but it's okay, it's enjoyable, and I think it's a good idea to do what I've done now, that I mix the tissue covering and the wood building, because then it doesn't concentrate all together. Like in other models, I know that the tissue covering was kind of the last thing I did, and I didn't enjoy it so much. Now I can still look forward to quite a lot of wood building with the tail assembly. So I'll give you an update when I have something. Time for an update. So what I've been doing over the past few days, I've been putting on the white glue and water mix, and I do it just one bay at a time, so it's really a very slow process. As I say, I've been doing it for a couple of days because each day I can only do like 1 or 2 or maybe 3, as I need to wait each time for it to dry. This is the right wing. I think it's turning out kind of okay. I have there the last bay waiting. Then on the left wing, it doesn't look so good. I did do the tissue on it. I don't know if you can see it. I did have to change here the water and glue mix, so maybe that's also an influence. I had to make new one. So let's see if it gets a bit better. And on the top side also, I don't know if you can see it. It's not as nice as I would like to have it, but it is what it is, right? So that's the progress with the wing. What I'm thinking of doing is doing yet another water and glue layer, basically to seal it up properly and to make sure that it's good. But I might do that already in bigger surfaces. And after that, I probably do then the clear lacquer. What I'm thinking also, let me be careful with this. What I'm thinking also is about how to put the wing on the plane itself, because on the model, on the instructions, it's actually fixed. You would have to glue it on, but I'm thinking if it's possible maybe to do it removable for transport and storage purposes more than anything else. So I'm playing about. I've got here some skewers, some wooden skewers, and I'm thinking maybe to put the rubber bands over the wing. I think it would be the right tension because it's going to be a bigger wing. So I'm still trying to figure that out. It would be good access to the electronics, maybe some cabling and things like that. On the other hand, probably some modification would be needed to the wood and maybe even to the windshield. So I'm still playing around with that. Once I have the wing fully assembled, then I'll try to see if I can figure this out somehow in a way that it's not too disrupting and that it's functional. So progress, slow progress, but some progress. Time for an update on the wing. So what I've done on the fuselage, I've put in here these pieces and this one also. I don't know if you can see it, but the purpose of this is to be able to hold the center section that I'm gluing again because I broke it a little bit, so that it sits on it, and then actually the wing is somehow fixed, that I can control the pitch and also basically the position of the wing on top of the fuselage, so that I can also remove it when needed. So that's something that I'm doing with gluing. But the biggest progress so far is on the wings. I've got them both kind of done, I would say. I've done, I don't know how many layers of water and glue, maybe 3, not sure, maybe some areas. At some point I lost track. And I've also done, if you see a bit of the gloss, I've done one layer of clear lacquer. So I'm hoping that keeps it somehow watertight, like at least humidity tight. I'm looking at it, and for example here on the aileron, it's actually more shiny than on the main wing. So let's see, that might be something to come back to. I've got both wings in pretty much the same state that we can also compare, and I've also glued in the ailerons with the fishing line and some super glue. So this one, if you can see it, has good movement to it, I think, and I'm hoping that I've put in 4 hinges on each of the ribs in the center part, so I'm hoping that it does hold, and if one doesn't hold, that at least the other 3 do. And if I look at the other one, I just finished it, so I hope it's already somehow settled. I'll take off the masking tape I had here to hold it. So take that off. And here's then the hinge, also the hinged aileron. So this should be actually working. So that's basically then the progress so far, which is good. The next will be then to glue the wings to the center section, which as I say is down here, with the dihedral. Once I have that, then I'll probably come up with an update, but then it's going to be about putting then the top cover, the center section of tissue, and maybe then giving it another hand of clear lacquer, and then in readiness to put in the control rods for the ailerons also. So that's a step. One thing that you can't see it here, but I can take it off, that I thought of and then I forgot, is about attaching the control arm with a screw. I was thinking I should do it then from the top, but now I've closed it up, so I probably will just put the control arm, I'll just squeeze it in and hope for the best that it doesn't shift. I don't know if you have experience with this. Is the screw really needed or not? I'm kind of hoping it isn't, because if it is I need to make a hole in the tissue, and that would be a pity. But anyhow, we'll try it like that, and let's see how that goes. I'll put the masking tape on it again so that I'm ready in case I put on another layer of the clear lacquer. So some progress, quite slow, like it's taking me quite a long time because I was doing, as I mentioned, each bay at a time, like in ones and twos. If you see the wings, this one, which is the left wing, is not so nice. It's somehow a little bit wrinkled. I'm not sure how to do it better than this. I'm sure, well, with a plastic covering, I'm sure it would be much better, but this is what I can do with the tissue. The right wing actually came out a little bit better, which I'm happy about. I did it actually before, so I probably stretched the tissue much better on it when I was putting it on. So I need maybe to focus more, do a bit more of practice and laying down the tissue with really as taut as possible already with the initial. So not basically to not count on the stretching of the tissue. So in any case, I'm happy that there's progress, because it did take me quite some time. And the next steps will be to, as I say, glue it into the center section, try the center section on the fuselage, and basically then complete the wing, and then do some testing. Of course, I want to do the testing to make sure that the ailerons move. And here we have some visible progress. So I've stuck the wings on. Before doing that, I reinforced the center section. I put in one more piece in here, because I had the feeling that as it's going to be like a wing on its own, and this little piece had already broken off twice, so I put in one extra piece in there. I think you might be able to see it. I did put in a screw a little bit to reinforce it, because I was getting a little bit paranoid. I've got to be careful with weight. And then I glued on the wings with a dihedral. I have the feeling that the left wing, which is here on the right, is a little bit higher up. I'm not sure, so maybe more precision is just as usual needed. And again, with my paranoia that it might break, I actually put in some screws. They're very small screws, actually, they don't even go through, but I'm hoping that it gives it some more sturdiness in case it does actually cartwheel or something like that. And I do need the wing to be kind of self-sustaining. It has some struts in the design, but I don't want them to be based on that, because I want to be able to take it off. So as I say, some visible progress. The next step is going to be to put the tissue over the top part of the wing. The bottom part will stay open, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to put it onto the fuselage, but that might be then for later, for the main assembly. And next step probably, or the next update, will probably be a completed wing, and then I get on with other things. And here I have the completed wing. I've mounted the ailerons with fishing line hinges, so that and I hope it holds out. I might need to do them again, but they seem to be moving well. The underside, I've still got some masking tape on the servo heads, because I was already spraying it with some clear lacquer. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a nice shiny coat to it, so I'm hoping that it's also watertight or humidity tight. So overall I think it's good, and I've tried it on the fuselage already, and it does fit. I had to do quite a lot of sanding, and I had to, as I showed, I put in some reinforcements and things like that, but I think the center section in the end came out quite okay. It's almost transparent, as you can see, but I think it looks okay. So just a few minor touch-ups, I think, and that'll be it. And on another point, I know that some of you, especially Joe and Cliff, you've been telling me that the servos are too big, so I've just put in an order for some of the smaller servos, and but it will take some time to come, I'm sure, because they come from very far away. So I'm already starting to consider to improve the whole electronics. So let's see who's faster, me building or the container ship sailing the seas and bringing the equipment. But I might try to change also the motor and things like that. So in any case, thank you very much for all those comments. It does make me think. I know that I'm a bit sometimes stubborn, and But we'll see how it goes along. Thank you everybody for following along on this one, and I'll see you next time.